Hello, everybody. Welcome to this convention prep episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a randomly selected horror movie every single week. I'm Bob.
And I'm Ben.
Hey, Ben.
What's up?
Wow.
So excited.
You're coming in solo energy, bro. We were just having a great time, and now you're like... What?
I was low energy this whole time.
No, you weren't.
But
you were just yapping.
Bob, you know what? Not even going to get into that. Maybe it's the Vietnam style flashbacks to last year's convention prep.
The movies, they're in the trees. Oh my god. It wasn't that bad, Ben.
It was that bad.
Okay, it was pretty bad, but we're not doing nearly as many movies this year.
No.
Do you want to explain to the audience
We probably should, but no.
what convention prep is and why we're doing it? Because I feel like it's been a year since we've done this, so maybe there are new people that don't know what's going on.
Okay, so normally when we do the podcast, we do a board style format. I'm not really going to get into that because that's our main show. But functionally speaking, that means we kind of get this mixed bag of movies we review. Like, we don't get to cover all the big stuff because our format doesn't allow for that. And when that starts to be a problem is when we want to go to like conventions or events and stuff like that, because Bob hasn't seen anything not on the podcast.
I've seen a very few things not on the podcast.
So if we want to go to somewhere where they're doing like a Nightmare on Elm Street event, we can't because Bob hasn't seen Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, he has, but that's one of the few movies. I guess a better option would be something like Child's Play.
Yeah, like if they're doing a panel or something at a convention, like I just don't want to go because I haven't seen the movie and I don't want it spoiled.
And so we kind of have to do some background work off the podcast since we're going to go to a convention again this year. Because of that, we're doing convention prep again. Woo.
It's back. Didn't we say never again last year?
Never. I think last year we said never again like that. Because last year, because you hadn't seen anything,
yeah,
we basically went, all right, who's going? Let's watch a movie for every single person. Mm-hmm. So I think we did, what, like 23?
20-something.
Plus every Friday the 13th film.
So like 35 movies-ish.
In like, I don't know, 2 months?
Yeah.
A month?
Plus the normal episode, by the way. The normal podcast still happened. This was on top of that.
Yeah. So this time we're not doing that.
No.
I think I cut the list down to kind of the bare minimum stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, because now I feel like I've covered a lot more stuff, so it was a lot easier, too.
Yeah, we have some doubles up on like stuff. People who came last year, stuff like that. We're probably doing less than we should.
Yeah.
Because there's some big people that have been added since we've made this list. For instance, Clive Barker's coming to the convention now.
Which is pretty fucking cool.
And we haven't seen any Clive Barker stuff. But unfortunately, we've been saving him for an actual category. And
you have been saving him.
I have. So we're not going to put any of his films on convention prep. But yeah, we only have, I think, like 4 like firm films for this convention that I want to make sure we get down. And then a couple optional ones depending on how much time we have left. Before the convention. So we'll see how long this actually goes. But I thought we'd start off with one that's going to be a lot of fun today.
Okay. So, yeah. Ben, what are we watching today?
Child's Play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Dude, that's so awesome. What the fuck? Why are we starting with what? This is surprising for me. Can I be real? Ben made this list a while ago. Like, when we first realized we were going to go to the convention again, Ben, like, looked through the list and was pulling stuff. And honestly, at this point, I'd forgotten who was going. Why are we watching Child's Play?
So, I forgot to write it down, but I'm pretty sure Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon, and Alex Vincent, who I believe are all the main characters of that film, are going to be there.
Oh, this is awesome. I'm so excited. I've wanted to watch this for so long.
I don't think Brad Dourif's going to be there.
But, he's so good.
I think, basically, besides from him, all the main characters are going to be there. Oh, also, John Franklin, who's not really in this movie, but
okay,
he's also going to be there. Sorry if I missed anyone. But yeah, so it should be fun. We haven't covered it yet. I figured might as well for this.
Didn't we talk about... Yeah, we talked about this last... Well, not... The last episode we recorded, physically, we talked about this movie.
Episode 100.
Episode 100. Because I was like, man, dolls really scare me. Child's Play is going to fuck me up. But I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too bad as far as creepy doll movies go.
Sure.
It's very good, but I don't think it has that same creepy doll horror that you might be thinking of.
Okay.
But what do I know? It could freak you the fuck out.
That's fair. I've been scared by less.
You've been scared by brooms.
You mean mops?
Both.
That's true.
All right. Description. Hidey-ho.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Length, an hour and 27 minutes long.
Whoa, it's a little shorter than I expected. That's cool.
It's great.
Oh my god.
Love that. It's rated R.
Thank God.
Review scores. IMDb gave it a 6.7 out of 10. Tomato meter score of 74%. And an audience score of 65%.
It's pretty good.
For awards, it has 2 wins and 4 nominations. For notable actors, we have Catherine Hicks as Karen Barkley. She was Gillian in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Chris Sarandon as Detective Mike Norris. Do you know who that is?
No.
He's very famous, especially among, I'm going to say emo and goth kids, for being the voice of Jack Skellington.
Oh, you know
In
how I feel about
The
Nightmare Before Christmas, bro. We've talked about
It's
this.
your favorite Christmas movie. I know.
Shut up.
Alex Vincent as Andy Barkley. He's played Andy Barkley in basically everything in the
Oh.
Child's Play franchise.
That's cool.
Not everything, but in a lot of it. But he's done some stuff outside of that. For instance, he played Carter LeGrand in Just Like the Movies, back when he was still like a little kid actor. Dinah Manoff as Maggie Peterson. She was Marty in Grease.
Oh.
Tommy Swerdlow as Jack Santos. He was Ginger Moss in Howard the Duck.
That movie's accursed. I've never seen that movie, but I've seen clips of that movie, and that movie should have never been made.
You just know it's cursed.
Ben, it is cursed.
It's mostly the Howard the Duck part.
It is 100% all the Howard the Duck part.
Jack Colvin as Dr. Ardmore. He played Jack McGee from The Incredible Hulk. He was on 81 episodes between 1977 and 82. Ray Oliver as John Dr. Death Bishop. He was Brian Beale in Forbidden World. Neil Gintoli as Eddie Caputo. He was a Hellfire gunner in Waterworld.
Oh, I've never seen Waterworld.
Well, that might be for the best.
What is that? Is that a shark movie? No, it's like, what am I thinking of? That's a shark. Waterworld,
I think you're thinking of
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea.
I am thinking of Deep Blue Sea.
Or literally any other shark movie.
Sure.
Waterworld is the film with, I believe it's Kevin Costner,
I don't remember.
but basically everything floods,
yeah, okay.
and
Yes.
it's kind of ludicrous.
I've heard this movie's bad.
And apparently it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Ooh, gross. We love a 2 hours and 15-minute bad movie.
Ugh, it makes the podcast so long.
It does make the podcast long when we have long movies, especially if they're bad.
Outside of the podcast, whatever. 2
Yeah.
hours I could do, but yeah.
Well, it's because there's like 45 minutes of prep beforehand, 45 to an hour of prep after. There's a lot.
It's a lot. Brad Dourif as the voice of Chucky
Hell yeah.
/ Charles Lee Ray. That's his full name. He also played, I believe this is Peter DeVries in Dune, the one from 1984.
Oh my god.
Bob's favorite Dune.
I've never, first of all, currently yes, because I haven't seen the new ones.
Exactly.
And I do really like that old Dune movie. It's stupid.
Eden Gross as the voice of Friendly Chucky. He was Flounder from the Little Mermaid animated TV show.
No.
He was on 30 episodes between 1992 and 1994.
Huh.
John Franklin as Walkabout Chucky. That's Chucky specifically in the big, like, humanoid mascot costume, I believe.
Oh, is that how they do it?
No, like a big humanoid mascot
okay.
costume.
I thought you
like
were-
a
never mind.
full-sized man.
Okay.
Costume.
I see.
He played Isaac in Children of the Corn.
I haven't seen Children of the Corn yet.
You know the creepy kid from Children of the Corn, like the main one?
Yeah.
That's this guy.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then Ed Gale as Chucky, the in-suit performer. So that's when they had Chucky as like an actual suit.
That's what I was
Whatever.
trying to figure out. That's, yeah.
That was Ed Gale. He also played Howard T. Duck in Howard the Duck.
The Duck. Motherfucker.
I will say right now, they did do Chucky with some suit stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of it was animatronics. And it just kind of depended on the scene and what they were doing.
Okay.
Because, this is 1988. And while they had really advanced animatronics for this film, there's only so much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was really complicated. I think their puppeteer team had 9 different people required to operate the one puppet
Holy fuck.
to get it to do what they needed.
That's awesome.
And I think the most interesting part is If I remember right, for voice lines, they had to have someone with like a radio controlled thing on their head, and they would talk, like lip sync.
And you would like mimic it?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I think that was this film. The puppet gets more. They use animatronics for every film,
Mhm.
and the puppets get more complicated.
Yeah.
So they've always had some pretty insane stuff for how they have to do all the puppetry stuff.
It's so cool.
It is. You can always watch behind the scenes stuff if you want to see more of that, because it's more than I can get into here. And every film's different because they got better at it. In either case, director's Tom Holland.
Hell yeah.
You know, from Spider-Man.
Shut up. We've
Exact
had this
same person.
conversation.
He was alive in 1988
Yeah.
and directing as a fetus.
Mm-hmm. As not even a thought. Not even like a mere sperm he was.
But Tom Holland also directed 3 episodes of Tales from the Crypt in between 1989 and 1992.
That's pretty fucking cool.
So that's kind of cool. There's 3 writers given credits on this.
Interesting.
Don Mancini, who
Hell
has a
yeah.
story and a screenplay credit. He also wrote Cellar Dweller.
Ugh.
John LaFia, he has a screenplay credit. He also wrote Man's Best Friend. And then Tom Holland is our last screenwriter credit. And he's also worked on Psycho 2,
Oh,
the sequel to Psycho.
okay. Never seen Psycho. Heard
Good
it's good.
movie.
I've heard it's really good.
Budget's estimated at $9 million.
That's a lot of money in 1988.
Yep. It was a very expensive film.
Well,
'Cause
yeah, I mean, just the puppet alone was probably crazy expensive.
Yep. But box office turnout was $44.1 million.
Hell yeah, dude.
So they made bank. Country of Origin, United States, also known as. These were working titles after the script was made, but Blood Brother and Bloody Buddy.
Bloody Buddy is pretty good. I don't hate it. But Child's Play feels so, like, innocuous. You know what I mean? And I think that works better.
Yeah, that's probably why they chose it. If you're wondering about Bloody Buddy, it's because Chucky's a buddy doll.
Yeah.
So, kind of makes sense. Tagline, you'll wish it was only make-believe.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
Okay, so I think first thing we need to start with here is some rights stuff.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this because I know from what we've talked about on the show and what I have picked up through, just being around the horror space, isn't the Chucky timeline continuous? Like, its continuity has been upheld even through the TV show?
Yeah, so the timeline is continuous except for the reboot.
The remake that just came out in what, 20... It was very recent.
Yeah, it was like 2020 or something like that.
And that one apparently just was not very good.
No, it wasn't. In part because it broke the timeline, but also it was just a very different film. It was like a AI kind of scary movie.
Oh, like something like Megan?
Yeah, kind of, essentially.
That's kind of gross.
Buddy in that isn't like a doll. It's like an Alexa.
Ew.
It's weird. They also didn't get Brett Dourif for the voice. They got, I think, Mark Hamill.
That's kind of cool.
Which is interesting.
Mark Hamill is a good voice actor.
He is. He does. He does very good villains.
Mm-hmm.
He did the Joker and the...
He's, in my opinion, the best Joker.
But in either case, what happened there is Child's Play was originally distributed by MGM, so Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer.
Mm-hmm.
However, they then sold the rights to Universal Pictures in the 90s.
Okay.
I believe specifically 1990. But they retained the rights to the original film.
Okay.
So my understanding is they essentially made Child's Play, the one in, I think it was 2019, to essentially renew their rights to the original film.
Gross.
But part of the reason it's so different is because they sold the franchise, but they had the original concept.
So they couldn't do anything too close, but they could keep the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding for how that worked.
I hate rights stuff in horror. It really fucks up a lot of cool shit.
But it's whatever. I mean, we still got the TV show that's still going on.
Yeah, and I've heard the TV show's very good.
Yeah. So kind of going back to where this franchise comes from. So Mancini's the guy who came up with the story idea, and he still works on the project nowadays. But he apparently came up with the concept in like around 1985, and he based it a lot on the consumerism that was present around toys during the 1980s.
Okay.
There was some pretty wild stuff going on. Apparently there were some riots involving like Cabbage Patch Kids.
Holy shit.
If we want to talk about specific stuff. So there's a lot of messaging about that in this movie.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
With that being said, if you look at the design of the Buddy dolls, they are kind of explicitly based around toys that were present in the era.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. The male Chucky, it sort of looks like a Raggedy Ann doll.
Looks like a Raggedy Ann doll. It kind of looks like a Cabbage Patch doll,
Kind of, yeah.
But I know explicitly it's supposed to be somewhat inspired by My Buddy doll, which was released by Hasbro around the same time. And actually, I think they had to change the name of Chucky originally from Buddy to Chucky, so they wouldn't get sued by Hasbro. Do you want to look at a side-by-side?
Sure. Holy shit.
They're very, very close.
That's so close.
Not to mention they had like similar toy aesthetics and stuff with the dolls themselves. So you can definitely see the inspiration there if you go look it up. But long story short, he kind of worked on the idea for a while. You can go look up some of the stuff about his original script. It's very different from the movie that exists now. In fact, it wasn't until like a later script that they even added like Charles Lee Ray as a character.
Wow.
If that tells you how different the original scripts were.
Yeah, how interesting. That's cool.
So it did go through a lot to get to the point it is at now. That's why there's 3 different screenwriters listed.
Yeah, normally when we see a film with a bunch of different writers, it normally means bad things. Like the script is going to be janky and funky and weird. But I'm hoping in this case that it works out because this movie's beloved. People really love the franchise.
No, I think it worked out. I think they were just really just kind of workshopping a lot of stuff. With that being said, I will put this out here. Mancini has talked about how he's kind of gone back and taken ideas he had from his older scripts for this film and added them in sequels.
Oh, that's really cool.
So things do end up working out, I think, overall. Moving on from writing stuff. Do you know who almost made this film?
No.
Charles Band.
Oh, this being a Charles Band film would go crazy.
Well, so if you don't know who Charles Band is, I think he's the founder of Full Moon Features?
Yeah, he's going to be at the convention.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Cool stuff.
That is cool. I'm excited.
But he was interested in originally purchasing this film, but after reading the script was like, well, this is going to be too expensive for me to make.
Oh, well, look, Full Moon does make cheap movies, okay?
Yes. But he would obviously go on to make his own, we'll call them not rip-offs, but
they're not rip-offs.
Puppet films and the Puppet Master franchise, which if you've ever seen it's not good, but it's fun.
It is fun.
Moving on to some actual like casting stuff. Alex Vincent is playing Andy Barkley, so the main character of this film. He's really interesting because he's a fairly young child actor, but he was also like inexperienced in this film.
Really?
This is like one of his first acting roles.
Wow.
And compared to some of the other people he was up against, he was very inexperienced.
That's awesome.
But he ended up winning the role because apparently during the audition, he pretended to forget his lines in order to avoid cursing in front of his mother.
Okay, that's like the most little kid shit ever. That's so good.
And when they realized that, they basically hired him on the spot because, as you'll notice, he's a very just convincing, like, innocent kid actor.
Okay.
He does a really good job of selling this film. And I think he does definitely carry a lot of the heart of the movie. Outside of that, get into some production stuff. Principal photography began on January 7th, 1988. Wrapped up on March 5th, 1988.
That's,
so,
what, like 3-4 months?
Pretty quick. About 2, 3. Depends on how you want to count it. From my understanding, it was filmed in Chicago. For instance, they got the Brewster Apartments located on, I think it's Diversey Parkway and Pine Grove Avenue as the location of the apartments where Andy and Karen live. It's even on like the front poster. And I believe a lot of the stuff was actually shot like there.
That's pretty sweet.
On set. It sounds pretty sweet, except they shot it around winter, and it was really cold.
Oh, it's freezing.
I think with wind chill during recording, it was like -50,
God
-40
damn.
a lot. So they had to like rent out a lot of space and have like trucks and stuff to keep people warm. Not great conditions for a movie, but kind of cool.
It was worth it.
In either case, the film that eventually got completed was roughly 2 hours long.
Oh my god. And they cut it down to what, an hour 27?
Yeah, and they basically cut off 30 minutes of film. because at the original test screening, this film did poorly.
Oh.
They basically chalked that up to two reasons. First of all, they thought Chucky was on screen too much.
Really?
So they cut some of his scenes to make it more dramatic.
Hmm.
Kind of like the Jaws thing where you don't reveal
Yeah.
the creature until later on. And they also had a different voice actor for Chucky.
Whoa.
So I mentioned that John Franklin's in this film.
Mhm.
He's only kind of in this film, but he was the original voice actor for Chucky.
Really?
So my understanding is they wanted to get Brad Dourif, but he couldn't do it at first
Mhm.
because he was working on something else.
Okay.
So they got Franklin, and after the test screening, they basically redubbed all his lines
That's wild.
with Dourif. And, he's still in one sequence with the Walkabout Chucky
Mm-hmm.
where they left it in, but otherwise he's been completely subbed out.
That's crazy.
Kind of sucks for him.
It does suck for
but
him, but
I do like Brad Dourif in the role.
I'm about to say, apparently Brad Dourif's really good in this.
Yeah, they thought his voice could pull off some of the more serious parts better,
Mm-hmm.
and comedic lines too. Last but not least, we should mention film spawned a large franchise, so that includes sequels, reboot, comic books, and a TV show.
Yeah. No, I've actually seen one of the sequels, which is crazy for me to say.
Which one was it? Bride of Chucky?
Yeah. Which I like that movie, actually. I thought it was
Could have
fun.
been Seed of Chucky.
Isn't that the one with his kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hence Seed.
Seed. Yeah.
In either case, that's basically all I got.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm really, I want to watch a movie for a long time, so I'm glad we're finally getting to it. I didn't expect it in convention prep, on God. I was expecting it somewhere else, but this would be cool.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in a minute. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We just finished watching Child's Play.
Yeah. What'd you think, Bob?
I mean, it's okay.
It's okay.
No, it's so good. The outtakes are going to be full of me just losing my shit. First of all, this movie's scary. That is something I learned very
It's
quickly.
not.
No,
but
it's scary.
Sure.
It's definitely scary. You know what? It's everything it's cracked up to be. It's really good. I knew it was going to be good, but it was way better than I thought it was going to be, if that makes sense. I was kind of blown away. On God.
I guess, did you think it was overhyped some?
I
And
mean,
that's why.
I had come in with the expectation of, okay, this movie is like a classic slasher from the 80s. It's going to be super overhyped. People really talk about how good it is, how much they love it. And I'm sure it'll be good, but I did not expect it to be as good as it actually was.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
It's a well-made movie.
Because I came in with such a high bar that I was like, no way it'll meet my expectations. It exceeded my expectations, and that was fucking sweet. It was so cool.
That's good to hear. I guess we'll get into it then. As always, we recommend you go watch it blind if you haven't already.
Absolutely. I came in with minimal knowledge of what the movie... I knew the basic plot points, and I still had a great time. So if you come in with knowing basically nothing, you're going to have a fantastic time.
Yeah, especially because I think a lot of people are familiar with Chucky from, later films.
Sure, yeah.
And, how he behaves in those, and he's a very different character in the original Child's Play, so it is worth a watch for that reason alone. Because you will be surprised if you're unfamiliar with it. But recommend you go watch it. Otherwise, we're going to do a quick, little discussion, and then we'll get into actually discussing it after that quick review thing. With that being said, what this is about is there's this guy named Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah,
Who-
the Shoreline Strangler.
Is it the Shoreline Strangler?
I'm almost positive.
Are you sure it's not the Scranton Strangler?
It's not the Scranton Strangler.
Are you sure?
Yes, Ben.
They never found out who it was.
No, it's that one. I've never really watched The Office, but I'm pretty sure it's Toby or whatever, right? He's like the Scranton Strangler?
No.
Allegedly?
No.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's this guy named Charles Lee Ray. Do you, quick aside, know where his name comes from?
Isn't he named after a real serial killer?
Sort of. He's named after 3 real serial killers. Charles Manson,
Yep, okay.
Lee Harvey Oswald,
Okay.
and James Earl Ray.
I didn't know the last one. I've heard of the other ones.
Anyways, dude dies
Yeah.
in a toy store.
Well,
And
dies is a strong word.
he dies because
No, I think he explodes.
no, he gets shot and he's bleeding out and he's dying, and he blames the whole experience on Eddie Caputo, who's his getaway driver who leaves him,
Yeah, leaves him to die horribly.
and I believe Mike.
Yeah, the cop that shoots him. Which, you know what? Fair enough. He shot you.
And Charles Lee Ray is like, you know what? I'm gonna get back at you. no matter what. And so he does a little hoodoo voodoo magic
Yeah.
and transfers his soul into a doll. It's called a good guy doll. Everyone knows what it looks like. And calls himself Chucky.
Yep.
And it's all about how Chucky gets given to this small kid, Andy Barkley. Chucky's still wanting to kill these two people who he blames for his death.
Yeah.
And if that sounds good, go check it out. With that being said, we're gonna get into the actual discussion now. So spoilers ahead. Anything you want to start with?
Well, okay, so I've already kind of spoiled it. This movie is full of, I would say, insane stunts and crazy practical stuff that I didn't expect. Like, multiple buildings explode. There's a really sweet actual car flip. So unnecessary in a movie like this, but it's so cool. It's so fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly action-heavy movie for essentially a killer doll feature.
Yeah.
I don't think most people are expecting that going in.
No, I wasn't, and it was really, really cool.
But I mean, like Bob said, the film opens essentially with an explosion because lightning strikes this toy store, and for whatever reason, that causes the place to explode. Later on, Chucky explodes a building with gas. There's a car flip, like Bob said. There's some fire stunts.
It's all really impressive. And so a big chunk of this movie is like, I would guess, like, I would describe it as a suspense mystery film because, like, the characters don't know that Chucky's alive, of course. And so they're trying to, like, figure out what is causing all of these mishaps. And as they're doing all this investigation stuff, it's broken up by these intense action sequences, but it's really cool, and it doesn't take away from that whole mystery aspect.
Yeah, I mean, with all those stunts and, you know, with that mystery aspect thing, I think the thing that makes this film work for me is the fact that the script treats the whole concept very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of acting like, okay, this is a goofy, like, horror film because, you know, killer dolls, whatever, it instead treats everything seriously. It's like, okay, we have essentially a serial killer running around posing as a, functionally speaking, small child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would they go about committing murders? What were they capable of? Would anyone believe that? And I think it's the film's need to treat that at least semi-seriously that really sells everything else.
No, it makes it work because it takes the idea that no one would believe that this doll is alive and killing people to the extreme and allows for all these characters to become convinced that other people are crazy and, like, not believe them, which leads to different things happening later in the film where it's like, who? At one point, one guy literally goes, he is a killer doll, and the guy goes, well, who's gonna believe me? Nobody. It's gonna sound fucking crazy, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Kind of jumping off of that, all the effects in this film are really well done.
Oh, they're so good.
The Chucky doll is primarily animatronic, and I think it looks really nice.
It's very, very well done.
I think the only time it has some issues is maybe with some of the lip sync stuff, but that's, again, because they overdubbed it after they shot everything, so I can let that go. But otherwise, it looks great. There's a couple scenes where they have someone in a suit running around, and you can tell that's a suit, but once again, it still holds up.
Yeah.
You know?
It's forced perspective stuff, and even though, like, sometimes that can look goofy, like in something like Dead Alive with the baby running around, like, that looked innately crazy and goofy. But they did a really good job at shooting it from far enough away that it could be believable. Like, you can tell, but it's not as blatant and goofy.
Yeah, and there was some close-up scenes where they did it too, but one of the, I think, interesting things they do with this movie that people don't really think about is the good guy doll's fairly large.
It is a very big doll.
So it doesn't feel too crazy when they have to have it be a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
I mean, the good guy doll is about the same size as Andy, and Andy's like 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I don't know, 2-3 feet tall.
I mean, it's almost as tall as he is. I think its head is bigger than his. Like, it's
Ted's
a big doll.
bigger. So it seems like they get away with it pretty well. But yeah, all the animatronic stuff's really, really cool. They couldn't have it do a lot, mostly just like standing and talking sequences.
Yeah.
But they can get away with a couple like movement sequences.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is they would sometimes put it on like a skateboard or something.
Oh, that makes sense.
When they want it to look like it's walking, so they'd film it from like the waist up and then
Mhm.
have it do the arm motions. But yeah, just really cool for the 80s.
No, it was really sweet, and it got a lot more range of motion in the face than I thought it was going to. Like, I'm gonna be honest, they really did a good job of showing anger and like frustration with the doll's face. Like, it really worked. Like, it looked really cool, and I really liked it.
Yeah,
it was really sweet.
It almost looks goofy how well they pull it off.
No, but it's cool.
You don't
like,
expect like
it's so impressive.
horrific anger to be coming out of what is functionally like a cute doll's face.
Yeah, and man, I think that's all the more horrifying for real.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point. I will point this out here. I don't know if you picked up on it. Did you notice the good guy doll changes over time?
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, if you're not aware of this, Charles Lee Ray, his nickname's Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they call his good guy doll, because each good guy doll has a name, and Charles Lee Ray decides to go by Chucky. So that's just how I'm going to call him for the rest of the time. But as Charles Lee Ray is trapped inside this doll, the doll becomes more like Charles Lee Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And so while it starts out looking like a standard good guy doll, like a Cabbage Patch Kid kind of thing, it looks very youthful. As the film progresses, it starts to look like older and more worn down.
Yep.
Like the hair changes, and it looks a lot more like Brad Dourif. And I mean, I think that sells the whole like alive thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But it's like a nice little small detail.
I mean, I think that comes back to the fact that I think I said it during the movie, but at the beginning when he does like the whole soul transfer into a doll thing, I was like, are they going to explain this, or are they just going to let it ride and it's just going to be like magical bullshit that's never going to get talked about? They do, I think, at least a decent job of explaining it. And I think that's pretty fucking cool. There's basically a whole sequence where after the doll is revealed to be like a serial killer, and Andy's mom is trying to like investigate and figure out how to like stop the Chucky doll from killing her son or killing more people, she goes and investigates Charles Lee Ray's old apartment and sees a bunch of stuff on the wall about like wanting to become like immortal and how to like live after death. And that leads them to like this like voodoo man who is essentially like Charles Lee Ray's like contact, and taught him how to like do the transfer and stuff like that. And I think that's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, is when Chucky shows up and interacts with him and like starts talking to him and like doing a bunch of very interesting sort of explaining, but it doesn't feel forced or unnatural in a lot of ways. It actually does a good job at making that beginning sequence feel a lot better.
Yeah, I do have an issue with that sequence, though. Yeah, so it does explain like the whole soul transference thing, and I think that is good. But as someone who's like, seen this movie and the rest of the franchise, it kind of stands out.
Really?
As like not necessarily fitting in super well. Although the hoodoo stuff kind of feels like it was forced in there because they didn't have another explanation for how they get this accomplished. And for a film that's really down to earth on like most of its violence outside of the whole, oh, it's a killer doll thing, having some straight up magic in the film is a little bit jarring at times.
Yeah, but how else would they do it?
I don't know. I think that's why they went with it. It's just like one of those things where I'm like, I wish there was a better way to do this. But this worked out okay.
See, I actually really like it because I don't know, it feels like a good enough explanation, but they also do stuff with it that makes me, there's just something about it that I like a lot. Like, there's something that makes it feel like that's probably the best explanation they were going to get, and I feel like they handle it in a certain way. Like, in that sequence, he uses that, like, a voodoo doll to kill the guy that he got the information from, which I think ingrains that more into the universe and allows for that, like, his explanation about, like, yeah, the doll's turning into a human. Like, you're becoming more human the longer you're in the body. Makes sense to me. I don't know. I just like it, honestly.
I guess. We just don't really see a lot of stuff like that ever again.
Oh, I guess that's fair. I haven't really caught up on the franchise.
It's fairly grounded for as, grounded a killer doll.
That's my point. Can be. Like, I don't know. I guess they could have gone with just, like, straight up possession. Like, his soul just transferred just cuz. But then that feels too loose.
Feels weird. Yeah, again, it's one of those things where I understand why they chose to do that, but I kind of wish there was something else. I just don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
So I think outside of, all that stuff with Chucky and like how they do the animatronics and stuff, because I think that's really good, but we could probably go on about that forever.
I mean, there's stuff about that we haven't even touched that I would like to talk about at some point.
Oh,
But it's like end of the movie stuff, so I don't know how much you really want to cover that.
yeah. Kind of the thing I think is really great about this film is our human characters.
Oh, they're so good.
I think right off the bat, the one that we need to talk about is Andy's actor. Just does a great job.
Literally incredible.
He does a great job of playing, I don't know, just small child really, really well.
But it's like more than just small child. It's like small. He's so like, and I said this during the movie, I think, but he's just so endearing. Like he does, because some small children are little shits and you don't like them. But I like this kid so much because he's so like, he feels so innocent and sweet.
Yeah, Alex Vincent does a great job of selling Indy. It's just like a real kid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just some things that are like, I would say indicative of like not a great child acting. Like
Sure.
there's a couple scenes where Alex Vincent like trips, or you can hear him like stumble on his lines,
Mm-hmm.
which like in a normal film probably wouldn't be great to have your child actor do. But for this particular role, it really sells it.
Because in a lot of sequences, he is like utterly terrified and like it works. Like there's a whole scene where he's literally just watching Chucky go absolutely buck wild and his mom's like, help. And he's like, oh, because it's like really scary. And it would be when you're looking at it from the perspective of like a 6-year-old who is literally probably best friends with this doll and is for her like, damn, that is crazy. And he doesn't know how to deal with it, you know? And I also think a lot of what makes Alex Vincent's performance so good is, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the beginning parts of this film are investigative stuff where they're trying to figure out what's going on and who's committing these crimes. And a lot of the fingers get pointed at Andy as the culprit because they're finding clues that a small person has done this and he was around for it. And I think he does a very good job of like doing things a kid would do to try and stay out of trouble and trying to like worm his way out of situations where he knows that he didn't do it because Chucky's telling him that he did it, but he can't say anything because no one's going to believe him.
Yeah, his performance in general, I think, it's really the heart of this film.
It's so good.
It's what sells a lot of like, I don't know, just the sympathy you have for everyone in this situation, because you feel bad for him when he gets blamed for something Chucky does, and you feel bad for his mom because
she's yelling at a kid who didn't do anything, and but she doesn't know it, so she's like seems like she's in the right from her perspective and from like an outside perspective.
even though she feels real bad about
She
it.
does feel bad. She's a great mom. We
Yeah.
haven't talked about that. She's a really good mom.
Which I think is our jumping off point for the character, his mom, Karen, played by Catherine Hicks, also does a great job.
So good.
Again, kind of hard role to play of just being a good mother in a film.
Yeah.
Hard to come by.
I mean, I think the coolest part about her performance is the slow progression from like, oh, Andy's being a kid and making up these stories about Chucky to like avoid trouble, to like, oh no, this doll's killing people. Like it's such a slow, cool progression. And there's a really awesome scene where it completely flips, where Chucky like finally reveals himself and she's like, oh my God, I've been so mean to my kid. And she's like trying to grapple with that. And it's just such a really nuanced, heartfelt performance that I really, really love.
Yeah, and that's a great scene there too, because it's not only the reveal to Andy's mom that Chucky's real, but it's basically the reveal for the audience, like the first time we get to see the doll, like fully.
Freak out.
So it is really good. And then there's Chris Sarandon playing Detective Mike, and
Also incredible.
also great. We see less of him than Andy and his mom, and there's less like heart there.
Yeah, but he's more like a tool for the action-heavy sequences because he's a cop.
Yeah.
But I think it's really awesome because, like, you know, one of Charles Lee Ray's whole things is, I'll get you no matter what, and it's him. So whenever he shows back up, it's like, oh, how is the doll gonna find a way to get at him without getting detected and, like, caught? And it's really good.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. The scene with him in the car is so fucking awesome. I love it so much.
If you're wondering, Chucky attacks Detective Mike in a police car.
And it's sweet.
And
They do
there
such a good job with
is
it.
some like driving stunts and some car flips, stuff like that.
There's a knife, there's some cables. It's awesome.
It's a pretty funny sequence. I'll put this out here now. This film, again, very serious. It doesn't lean too hard into like the quippy, jokey humor that we kind of see in later sequels. I'm sure you're kind of familiar with that.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
It gets kind of wacky.
From Bride of Chucky. When we get towards the end of this film and we see more of the doll, things get a little bit more comedic just because having a killer doll is a little bit ludicrous. And you can start to really see kind of the framework for the franchise establish itself in those sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I think the car scene is a really good example of that because, like, well, it's horrifying. There's, like, a person attacking you in the backseat of your car. There's also some funny sequences of, like, a knife coming up under the seat while you're driving. Mm-hmm. You have to avoid it stabbing you. Or later on in the film, like, Chucky jumps out into a doorway and he's just like, surprise! And
it's really
hit
good.
In the face.
But I think that's more leaning into the fact that the doll is becoming more like Charles Lee Ray, and Charles Lee Ray is a fucking psychopath. And he's kind of coming into being a doll himself and, like, figuring out that he can do that sort of thing, and he enjoys it and finds it fun.
But I just want to know, we do start to see that, I think, the framework for some of the more
But it's really
parts.
Good because it's slow progression.
Yeah.
It really works because the beginning of the film is not at all like that. It's a slow suspense movie about whether or not this doll is alive and killing people, and slowly turns into an action horror movie, which is awesome. It's like getting the best of both worlds in a film.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it. The reveal that, like, the doll is Charles Lee Ray to Andy's mom doesn't happen till
probably 30, 40 minutes.
Oh, no, it's like an hour.
Is it an hour?
Yeah, it was like 50 minutes into the film.
It's a long time.
Before then, well, we as the audience know Chucky's real, probably.
Yeah.
It's like all POV shots.
Mm-hmm.
With, like, we get to see maybe Chucky's hand or something.
And it all could just be Andy.
And it all could be Andy. And I just wanted to bring that up because it kind of feels like watching a Jaws movie. Have you ever seen the beginning of Jaws?
Oh yeah, kind of, yeah.
But also like Black Christmas and the original Friday the 13th, where it does all that POV stuff.
It works,
and it works really well to build that tension without giving us too much away. I'm glad they cut the scenes.
I was about to say I really appreciate the thing that we talked about before, where it was like, what, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and they cut it down to an hour and a half?
And I'm assuming most of the 30 minutes is showing Chucky before that big reveal.
But that reveal's perfect.
And that reveal's perfect, and it would have cut the impact if they showed, like, him moving around outside those POV
like
shots.
The moment she lights the fireplace and goes, talk to me, I'm going to throw you, and he goes, you filthy bitch. It's so good. It's such a good moment. Like,
Especially because that's when the transformation from, like, standard-looking good guy doll to Charles Lee Ray really happens.
It's incredible. We haven't really talked about it that much, and it's something I wanted to sort of cover. But, you know, we were talking about how the doll sort of goes from being like a standard good guy doll looking more toy-like to a more natural-looking sort of human appearance. They also do a lot of really cool stuff where the doll gets damaged over time, and he retains a lot of that, and I think that's really fucking sweet. Like, he gets shot a couple of times, and they'll have bullet holes in him, or at one point he gets covered in soot, and then for the rest of the movie he keeps the soot on his face, and they like work that into a lot of the ways that he is scary, honestly. And that's really good, and it's really cool to see all that sort of damage tracked over time because he's a doll. Like, he has a burn mark on his face from the car sequence with Mike, and he keeps that for the rest of the film. At one point he's sitting in the elevator acting lifeless, and the lady goes, ugly doll.
Yeah, it's part of what I think makes him look more human.
Yeah,
for
there's sure.
Imperfections.
It's really, really cool. It's, you know, spoiler for the end of this movie. I'm just gonna spoil it. They kill Chucky, so I don't know how they're gonna get to the next film with the franchise, but I'm excited to see the leap. But I'm curious how much of the damage that he retained in this film is gonna get carried over, because he's fucked up by the end of this movie.
He is very fucked up. Multiple pieces kind of messed up. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie.
It's a fantastic movie. No, this is a really, really good movie. I'm glad we finally got to watch it. And while we're on the topic of the end of the film, I think the end of the movie is probably my favorite part, mostly because you mentioned it. Chucky's in multiple pieces, but all the pieces still move around and do shit.
It's like a zombie.
Fucking sweet. It's so good. It's like incredible. I had a really good time with this movie.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I mean, I think it's a good sequence, mostly because they just play around with the fact that, it's not a real person. It's an object.
It's an object that has a soul in it that isn't entirely human.
It's great to see.
It's really fucking cool.
With that being said, you got anything else? You just want to move on to the...
I don't think I have anything else.
Okay. Recommendations?
I mean, if you've never seen Child's Play, or you've, like, you know, are aware of it vaguely, I think check it out. I really fucking like this movie, and I'm so excited to cover the rest of it. It actually kind of makes me mad now that we talked about this, but we decided when we're gonna do series, we're probably gonna random it. I kind of want to just watch the rest of these. Like I'm genuinely so hyped to watch the rest of these movies now.
Yeah, Child's Play is a good franchise.
Oh, it's so cool, man.
It's a well-made one.
If you like Brett Dorff, he's really, for the short moments you get in this movie of him as an actual actor, he's very good. But his voice, like the Chucky voice, is iconic and works. Like, he is scary. It's really, really good. If you're a fan of animatronics in films, this is a great use of animatronics in, like, just in general. It's really, really well done. It's super, super creative and cool. They do a lot of really cool stuff where they play around with the fact that Chucky is small, and the fact that he's an animatronic, like, helps with that. It's really good. I like it a lot. If you're a fan of, like, classic 80s slashers, I guess this is a slasher, correct? Right?
Yeah.
This is on the same level as something like the original Friday or Halloween 2 or something like that. Black Christmas. I would say this is on the same sort of playing field and is a very interesting take on a slasher because it is not a human killer like in those films. It is a doll. And that's cool. And I guess the last one would be Killer Doll movie. It's a great Killer Doll movie.
Yeah, it's probably like
It's
Killer
probably the
Doll
best
movie.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Gonna agree with most of what Bob said. I think my only additions here are, if you haven't seen this film, it's one of like the big kind of horror icons. Chucky is. And this is his first appearance. So if you are familiar with horror and you're not familiar with the franchise, go check it out. It's definitely worth the familiarity, but especially worth the watch because it is a good movie. But I think kind of my maybe odd recommendation here, as far as Bob's concerned, is I think this is a good like intro horror movie. It's not very violent.
That's fair.
Like most of the violence is oriented towards Chucky,
doll?
so the doll. So it's not really like gory or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're like afraid of dolls, it's not like a super creepy movie. I'd put it generally around the same level as something like Jaws, where it's more suspense based than it is scary.
Scared me.
I don't know. I grew up watching Jaws.
That's fair.
Point being is like I could recommend this film if you were wanting to show someone who isn't necessarily into horror, maybe because they have issues with gore, but also like if you're just younger.
Yeah.
and
No,
you wanna
I didn't
watch
really
a-
think about
a
that.
horror movie.
But that's a really good recommendation for real. This is a great place to start.
Not great for kids.
Not great for like small kids, but I mean like
If you're 13 or
I was about to say
something.
12 or 13. This is easily like watchable.
Yeah. Rating?
I mean, I think I would be disrespecting this film not to give it a 5. Because I just think it's that well made. I think there's a lot of really tight story stuff in this film. Like, it's not necessarily the writing, but it's the way they handle the fact that it is a mystery that is really well done and really, really suspenseful and cool. The animatronics are incredible. Like, Chucky himself has so many cool facial expressions. He does so much cool shit. It's awesome. Next thing, the stunts in this film are, while unnecessary, absolutely fucking incredible. Like, they don't need to be there. It could have been just a slow sort of suspense movie with a killer, but they took the ludicrous idea of doll and turned it into like an action heavy sequence, and I think that's actually really cool and makes it a lot less goofy.
It's fun.
It's fun. And also just the acting in this film is incredible. All the human characters and even the doll have incredible moments, and they're all really impactful and cool. Yeah, I have to give it a 5. I have to. I mean, it spawned how many sequels and a long-running TV show that's all continuous in the same universe? That's, in and of itself, worthy of something.
6 or so, something like that.
It's really incredible. I really, really love this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll also give it a 5. This first Child's Play movie is really, really good. It's, I think, really well casted. The effects on it are great. It's a cool story. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not only like the start of like one of the biggest horror icons in cinema, but also just like the killer doll film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard not to say it deserves a 5 just for its impact alone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really don't have any complaints. And I'm going to put this out there right now. I think we found my favorite slasher so far. God damn, this little guy.
Beats Mikey?
He beats Michael hard. He's so good. No, I like this guy. I like Chucky a lot.
That's fair. This guy has a lot more personality.
He has a lot of personality, but it's also just fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Also, I'm way more scared of him than I am Michael.
That's fair.
Some of these outtakes are going to be me On the verge of tears. Movie kind of scared the crap out of me a little
No,
bit.
you mostly went silent, but yeah, he was bug-eyed most of the film.
Yeah, no. Dolls get me, man. Dolls get me.
In that case, I guess we'll go to the outtakes.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of Child's Play so far. I really love this film. I think it's super duper fun and really well made. But without further ado, let's get into the outtakes. This first clip is our reaction to the absolute insanity that is the death of Charles Lee Ray. God damn, that was sweet. Holy shit!
The toys are just flying off the shelves.
Shut the fuck up.
What do you think exploded?
Huh?
Like, what children's toy in there was highly
It was a lithium
explosive?
battery.
They didn't have lithium batteries. Did
they
they
not?
in the 80s?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
Batteries
think if a
weren't
lithium
included.
battery got struck by lightning, it would explode like that. But that was awesome. That was so cool.
That was. I'm not sure how realistic it was.
Does it matter?
Yes, in this movie about a killer doll possessed by the spirit of a serial killer, it does matter.
Okay.
I care explicitly
Yeah.
about realism.
This next clip is our reaction to the first time that Chucky kills someone during the film. But also, it's a wooden... It's like a plastic hammer, right?
That came with that set?
Yeah.
You'd hope so, but it's also the 80s.
True.
It very well could be a real metal hammer covered in lead paint.
Oh my god. Holy shit! Well, technically he didn't kill her. That's fucking wild.
Imagine coming home to this.
Oh my god, yeah. No, imagine. That's fucking horrific. This next clip is our reaction to Chucky finally getting his revenge on Eddie Caputo. Fuck yeah, that's so cool. Man, now I know why this movie had such a high budget. They've blown up 2 different the whole thing collapsed.
It was not structurally sound.
No, but they blew up a building.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This next clip is our reaction to probably the best scene in the entire film. That's fucking sweet. No, that's so goddamn cool. Oh, that's such a good reveal. Oh my god. Oh, look, there's his dad, I guess. Probably.
Maybe.
Is she gonna check his butt for batteries? Oh! That was awesome! Oh, no. Oh, he's under the couch. Oh, no, don't look down there. Don't look down there, lady. Holy fuck. Ooh, he's gonna... Ooh. Ah. It's like a little coffin. He's playing dead like a... What are the things that play dead? Like a possum.
Freaked out yet, Bob?
I've been freaked out for the past 20 minutes. I think after he blew that guy up, I kind of got over it. But this is getting intense, man. Talk to me. What does that mean? He's a doll. How are you going to make him talk? Oh, shit. Woman? That's kind of awesome, actually. Oh my god! He's a fucking maniac. He bit her? That's pretty tragic, honestly. Getting bit by a doll is pretty awful. Oh my god. That guy looks fucking crazy. That doll looks so good.
It's an animatronic.
That looks fucking incredible. This next clip is our reaction to probably the coolest stunt in the entire film. Yeah, I was waiting on this. I knew this was going to happen. He's getting strangled. God, that looks so good. Is he really going to take him out, though? I wasn't thinking he would die so quickly. But I was hoping for the encounter, at least. Oh, yeah. Nope. Grab the thing. Yeah. Oh, that's... Oh, it, like, melted the plastic. That's fucking gross. Oh, God, he's got a knife. God damn, this is sweet. Stop the car, moron. What the fuck are you doing? Pull over.
Well, he can't reach the pedal now. He's on a hill, so...
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Do we have any announcements, Ben?
You know, it's going to be the usual spiel that we do on our main podcast stuff. But unlike those, I think we did this last year, but I'm just going to tell you what movie we're watching next time.
Yeah,
We
so you
do
can get hyped
these.
for next week, whenever
Yeah.
the episode, whenever that comes out. We don't know when this is releasing or when these are going to come out yet. So, you know, just be prepared.
But the next episode should be Fright Night, the original one.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow,
So-
we got straight bangers this time, bro. Not the
That's-
last time we didn't
That's
have
gonna be
bangers.
fun. Well, that's kind of the point, is we're covering kind of the big movies where I was like, okay,
Oh.
there's a bunch of people going for the convention.
No, I've heard Fright Night's really good.
But yeah, Fright Night's good film. So we'll be watching that next time. You know, check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other places on the internet. If you're checking us out on any of those like podcast specific platforms, please give us a quick rating or review. It really helps us out in getting seen by other people on those platforms. Otherwise, you could give us a quick recommendation to a friend. You know, we'd really appreciate that. We'd be your friend to the end if
Jesus
you did
Christ.
so. Otherwise, you can actually check us out on YouTube, which, while not the best for audio-only content, is really nice for showing us some support. We can see all your likes and subscriptions, stuff like that, and it's one of the easier ways for us to gauge like how many people are listening to the show, because RSS feeds kind of suck for that.
They do really suck.
Additionally, YouTube has a couple cool tools you might enjoy. There's a search function which lets you search keywords and all our video titles. So if you're looking for a movie we've covered, that's an easy way to check that out. There's also a bell button which lets you get notified whenever we post something new, in case we're posting something out of our usual scheduled format.
Like this.
But the big thing with YouTube is it's one of the two major places to communicate with us at. You can do that in the comment section of a specific video if there's something you want to talk to us about in that episode, or you can go over to Twitter at Beware the Board and go give Bob an old Hidey-ho.
I didn't know what you were going to go for with that one, but that one was good. That was funny. Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter at Beware the Board. It's where we post updates about the show, information about the show. Basically, if there's anything you want to know about the show, it goes on our Twitter. On Mondays, I post a spoiler post for that week's worth of episodes, which is a hidden movie cover you can reveal, so you can watch the film before we do. So whenever you listen to the episode, you don't get any spoilers, or we're being vague about stuff, you know what we're talking about. Then on Fridays, or whatever other day an episode goes live, I always post a link to the episode whenever it goes up. So if you missed an upload or want to know when something went up, there's always a link on our Twitter. Last thing, we do short form content for the show over on at Beware the Board on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. So if you like short form content and want to support the show, check us out there at Beware the Board on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. Ben, I think that's it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time, whenever that is.